What up, guys? So recently I made a video and I went on this long rant about social media and why I wouldn't recommend studying short form technique videos and why I would recommend long form. Now, I was mainly talking about especially the highly processed conveyor belt of dopamine type of videos where lots of fast edits, lots of colors, lots of stuff just popping out at you. Maybe should come with like a seizure warning or something like the old animes used to back in the day, like an episode of Pokemon or something. Several of you guys made comments and you were like, hey Chewy, wait a second. I was looking on your page, on your Instagram page, and I see that there was some of those exact types of videos you were making. What gives? Right? And you guys said this in different ways, but again, am I like a hypocritical charlatan? Am I, just saying that you should do this, but then I do this? And even one of you guys was talking about for business sake that it was good to do those types of videos. So I'm going to give you the short and the long of it, right? Short, obviously, if you have a short attention span, that'll be the best thing for you. Long form, or the long version of it, if you are interested in making content for yourself, you should probably listen to that part because it could be useful. And I'll even touch on that business side a little bit for you guys. So the short of it, am I a hypocritical charlatan? Well, not exactly. So here's what it is. I was making the videos, didn't like it, been grappling with it for a while that I didn't like it, and then me and my assistant decided to just recently to say, we're not making these videos anymore, and it just so coincided with the question that I got from the person, so it was like perfect timing. I was already charged up about it anyway, and so those videos that you saw were from previous times, that you will not see any more of them posted. You'll still see short form stuff, but it'll be a lot less highly processed stuff, and it'll be a different type of thing. I'll figure out what I'm going to do with it later on, but you'll still see stuff posted there, but stuff that I actually want to post, and then that's the short of it, right? The long version of it is that this is a situation that it reminds me almost like when I think of me competing. So I've talked about this numerous times on the channel where when I compete with a focus on winning gold medal, getting on top of the podium, that kind of thing, I typically don't do very well in my competitions, right? Because I'm focused on winning and the outcome rather than doing what I need to do to actually make that situation happen, right? Well, on the flip side of it, when I go out and focus on using the techniques, going after the person and just getting after them to the best of my abilities and just letting it all hang out and just letting the chips fall where they may, that's typically where I perform really well, and I have a lot of good wins to my name, and I have done very well for myself in competitions that way. The content stuff kind of went that same way. So when I first started doing these videos with you guys, it was almost a decade ago, right? Long time ago. And when I started doing them, I started initially doing them for my students to give them recaps and drills and things like that from the classes. And then along the way, some of you guys started asking questions. And so I started, answering the questions and sort of figuring out a format for myself. Now, at the time, the big dog in the YouTube space for Jiu-Jitsu was Kurt Osiander, right? Kurt Osiander, he was the grizzled guy, and he'd be sitting there like, go train, and give them the camera fingers, right? He was a crazy character, and he had good techniques, so it was like kind of a win-win. Fun to watch, entertaining. And he had his technique of the week. Well, I didn't want to do that. I saw lots of other people doing that, and no one ever stuck. It was like that was his thing. I didn't want to do his thing. And so I was looking for other formats from other YouTubers and stuff like that wasn't done in Jiu-Jitsu. And again, like as martial artists, we look for our coach's technique and then we model after it and then we make it our own, right? That's kind of what we do. And so I did the same thing with YouTube, made my own little format, and that's how I sort of became known on this platform. Now, the goal from the beginning was simply to be an extension of my teaching, right? Because again, I don't know what you guys think about me, but I'm in the gym every day, right? Like for instance, this morning there was a guy that came into the gym. He was, shout out to James from Houston. He comes into the gym and he's talking to the gym manager up at the front, Trish, and all of a sudden he looks over at me and I'm like, what's up, bro? And he goes, oh my God, you're here. And I said, well, where else would I be, And I've had that sort of come up several times where I guess people think that I'm like a weird YouTuber, that I make videos, but I don't actually train. I'm in the gym every day, lifting, doing jiu-jitsu. It's what I love doing, right? And I love teaching people, and I love helping people. It's what I like doing. It's the reason why I became a coach. I've been doing this stuff for 14 years. Long before it was cool, before everybody's an entrepreneur, I was out there doing it because that's what I wanted to do, right? And so with that, with the videos, it became an extension of that. I looked at every video that I made on YouTube as I got this guy who has a question, let me try to help them as best I can and, cross my fingers, hopes it works. I didn't care about the view count. I was just let's see what happens, right? And hopefully I help this one person out. And in that way, This whole thing has been very fun to me. I don't have burnout with it at all. I love doing these videos with you guys. I love talking about different ideas and things like that, and expressing them in my own way. And, you know, again, it's grown to where I'm kind of known in the jiu-jitsu community because that was what came first, right? Instagram's a different story. I started dabbling on Instagram. And when I started dabbling with it, you know, I just seeing what happens. I'm just messing around with it, right? And it grew organically for a while with no problems. Then, you know, Instagram is battling with, you know, Snapchat and TikTok and all these other programs for eyeballs, right? And because that's how they make their money, is selling your eyeballs. And so they're competing. And so, you know, randomly, all of a sudden, it's like they're changing their algorithm, and then all of a sudden what was working yesterday no longer works. Right? I'm like, whoa, it's kind of jarring. I was, wait a second, why isn't it working? Right? And then, you know, people that were following me, they would tell me, bro, all of a sudden I went back to your page and you've been posting. I haven't seen you for months. Maybe you guys have experienced this where, you know, you follow someone, you really like their stuff, and then all of a sudden you don't see anything from them for a while, right? Because, you know, the platform's like, we're not going to give you preferential treatment. We're going to give it to someone else, right? And so that sort of thing was happening. So we started posting some short videos, me and my assistant. And those short videos, you know, initially it was fine, whatever. And it grew actually pretty quickly following that. But I just didn't like it, right? I just didn't care for it. I don't like trying to squeeze in something. I already talk fast enough, but I'm also long-winded, right? I'm very circuitous with the way that I come around to an idea. But that's the way that I like stuff explained to me. And that's the way I like to deliver it to other people. I enjoy these types of things, and so I figure some of you guys do, which it seems to be the case. Not everybody, I'm not everybody's cup of tea though, of course, and that's okay. I'm not trying to be. I want to do what I want to do because that's what makes me happy. I don't want to be doing something I don't enjoy. Because again, this is all secondary. My gym is what my main focus is. This is sort of just for fun, right? And so I started making those videos, and again, I just don't like the short form content, and so we decided we're not going to make it anymore because the only reason I kept doing it for a little while was because of view counts and follower counts and metrics. Going back to the analogy of competitions, I was focused on the medal instead of going after someone. With YouTube, it would have been, which I'm not, it would be focused on like subscriber count versus actually helping someone, which again, I'm whatever. My subscriber count's whatever. I don't even know what it is right now. I remember I went to a jiu-jitsu camp one time. The guy was like, hey bro, you got like 200,000 subscribers. This was a couple years ago. And I was like, oh, do I? I was like, I didn't know. Because he was like, congratulations, you hit 200,000. I'm like, I don't know. I don't care. You know, it's not really my main focus. But anyway, right? Sort of getting off topic. So, and the reason why I come to this is because over the years, I've had people come up to me and say, man, I love your YouTube videos. Help me out so much. Stuff's been game changing. I even have letters, handwritten letters from some of you guys. One of you wrote me a letter after your wife died, and you had your 2 daughters, your wife had passed away, and you started getting into jiu-jitsu. You're struggling with it. It's very overwhelming. You watch some videos, and it assists you. And I remember you sent me that letter. I mean, I had tears in my eyes reading the letter because I'm thinking about my own wife. What if she wasn't here anymore, right? And then you're going through this whole thing and you're like, thank you so much. Very heartfelt. I've had people come up to me and say, man, I really enjoyed the instructional videos that you have, right? So I have instructional videos on my website. I'm not on BJJ Fanatics as of right now, but I have my website and I sell stuff there. And so they're like, man, I really had a lot of use or a lot of help with this, and this one was really useful to me. It made things really simple, explained it, whatever, and got a lot of value from it. Great. Love to hear it. People come to my seminars and my camps, like, man, I'm able to hit those techniques that we showed at the camp on the people the next training session, right? Hell, I remember at the Origin camp last year, I remember I was like, I think it was like Jocko's daughter, like we were showing this arm bar. I was showing it every day to like the purple belts and blue belts and stuff like that. And at the end of the week, she comes up to me, she's like, I hit the arm bar. I'm like, yeah, that's fantastic. That's what I live for. That's what my favorite thing in the world is. That's what I get up in the morning to do. And when I see someone hit something that I know I showed them, or when I know that I gave them a perspective that helped them, like, that's it. That's what I'm in it for, right? Well, I've never had anybody come up to me and say, Chewy, you know what, man? I watched that 30-second clip, and bro, game changing. Never happened. You know, like no one's ever come up to me about the Instagram stuff. It's just like whatever, right? It's just there. Most people that follow me on Instagram, they follow me on YouTube anywhere, or follow me on the podcast. And so, I mean, and to be honest, I've actually had people come up to me and tell me, oh, bro, man, I love that Instagram video you made. And I'm like, which one is it? You know, and he's like, oh, and they'll explain it. And it's not even my video. It's someone else's video that they're in their head, they're giving me credit for. Now, I don't tell them that they're wrong because I don't want to make them feel bad or whatever, but I'm like, it's not me, you know? And it's just interesting because they're in the conveyor belt of dopamine. They're just scrolling and everything's just getting jumbled up, right? Because they're not spending any time with that one thing to digest it. So anyway, I don't really like doing it. and because I'm not getting what I'm actually in it for, which is to actually make an actual like impact on someone and make some discernible difference in their game, their perspectives, or whatever. And so that's why I'm not in it. And again, this is important for you guys that are interested in making content, because you need to find something if you're going to do this stuff, right? It's going to take a long time for most people, not for everybody, but for most people, it's going to take a little while, right? You're going to have to put in some time, and you need to find a format that you like. This way you don't have burnout, right? I don't burn out from this stuff. I like doing this stuff. I would do more if I just didn't have to do all the gym training, but I have to train my guys, and I like being in the gym. So there's that, right? But again, you have to find a format that you like so that you can keep doing this stuff for years to come. Because you don't want to, if you're going to do this stuff, you don't want to get into this whole thing and do something you don't like doing. I mean, what's the point of doing that, right? Go do something else. It's why I've heard jiu-jitsu coaches, I've heard like disgruntled jiu-jitsu coaches that are like, God, I hate teaching classes. I'm like, you hate teaching classes? What are you doing this stuff for? Go get a different job. There's better ways to make money if you don't like being here, right? This whole thing, if you're going to get into this, do it for the right reasons, and the reason should be that you enjoy doing it. Now, you might really be focused on subscriber count and all that stuff. That's fine, but you should still do it in a way that you like doing, that you enjoy doing. This way you can have that long-term enthusiasm and you don't go through the burnout. Right? And so yeah, that's just the idea. So that's the short and the long of it, right? Am I a hypocritical charlatan? Not exactly. It's just something I've been grappling with for a while, pun intended. And around the time that me and my assistant, Mr. Brandon Reed, many of you guys might know him, decided that we were no longer going to do those types of videos, just so happened that I got a question about it, and I was all charged up anyway. And I decided that, you know, it just kind of happens at around the same point, you know, and I'm kind of transparent with you guys. I don't script anything. I'm just talking off the cuff. This is like the conversations I would have with you if you were at my gym, and I just threw it out there. And so that's that. So that is the video. And again, for you guys that had those comments or those questions, like, what's Chewy doing? You know, that's that. And for the business side of it, right? Just one last thing to throw in there, you know, the Instagram, if I compare Instagram, YouTube, podcasts, you know, that kind of stuff, the YouTube podcasts are far superior than the Instagram. Instagram might work for some of you guys, it might work great, and there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, it just doesn't as well. Like, I can look at all my metrics and stuff like that if I really want to get nerdy about it, which I don't do too often, but every now and then I'll get interested. And again, the one that moves the needle the least is that one. And again, I think it's because of the way the platforms are structured. They're not structured for the person to do anything else other than to do this, just to scroll endlessly. They're not there to get them off their site. They're trying to keep them there. So again, that's the whole thing. So anyway, we could talk more about the business side another time, but for right now, that's the idea. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching the video, and I'll talk to you next time.